I got a lot of attention. LinkedIn is that it's not just posting, all the time. You need to learn how to breathe life into your LinkedIn. Do not be afraid to experiment.
Quite obviously, LinkedIn has evolved from more than just a...
Sometimes it's not about you never know what kind of opportunity you attract, and it's global. I may not have figured it out all yet, but I think I want to build.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Human Exchange, or THX for short, a platform where we want to discuss everything performance, potential and purpose in a real, raw and relevant way across our professional and personal lives. Here at THX, I am very interested to talk to not just experts, but humans. And right in front of me today, I've got a human and her name is Wendy. Wendy, first thing I want to ask you, is LinkedIn dead?
LinkedIn is definitely not dead. You just need to put some soul in it.
Wow.
Wow.
Mic drop.
Big.
Put some soul into it. Tell us, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by putting soul in it? Why does it lack soul at the moment? Yeah.
Right. I think when you look at your LinkedIn profile, some profile are very basic, right? You don't even have pictures. You don't even have a tagline. You don't have that about me. There's nothing. It's just a blank page with your job title and a company. That's dead.
Yeah.
Put some soul into it. Put your, I think the most basic thing is imagine an empty house, right? You start to put things on it. Like you put your photo, you put your tagline, you put your job title, and then at the same time, you tell a little bit about yourself. I think that will give a little bit of soul. I think as a recruiter, I've gone through many LinkedIn profiles in my day-to-day life. Some profiles really very exciting and they tell a little bit about their work, they tell a little bit about what they do. But at the same time, then you also see another profile which is a bit more dead. It's like, oh, I don't even know what this person does. It's like nothing, only job title and a company. And then you have to approach this person and expect this person to reply you in order to know, oh, actually, there's so much more interesting thing about your life that you didn't put on LinkedIn. So I guess it's not dead lah. Just that you need to learn how to breathe life into your LinkedIn.
I'm curious, as a recruiter, how much do you deep dive into someone's profile? What I mean by that is, I'm sure you'll be looking at things that matter, like for example, their working experience, their education background. But all those all those posts that they put, will you actually go through their top 5 posts, their most recent posts? Like how in-depth do you go into someone's profile? I'm curious to know.
I think I will go into their posts. Like for me, other than browsing through their basic, the job titles and making sure that I'm on the right track, looking for the right person.
That's like the first filter.
That's the first filter, right? Your name, where you study, what you study, where you work, how many years have you worked, the whole 6 seconds recruiters scan your profile on CV, right? That's the same thing that I did on LinkedIn. And most of the time, because not a lot of people will post or write something on their, featured post, right? If they do have, I will click on it and I will read. And that will help me to remember them better, actually.
Wow.
And even when I represent them to my clients, sometimes I will be able to use some of the stories that they share and say, hey, this person is different, he has this X experience, he has done this, but he also has these extra things that he shared on LinkedIn.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would read. I don't know about other recruiters, but I would.
Wow. So it seems like, because based on that point that you gave, LinkedIn is, and we can see this, right? We can see this quite obviously. LinkedIn has evolved from more than just a job seeking or job seekers platform into a content creation,
Influencer.
I don't know. So to me, it's I guess the question I'm trying to land in is how do you distinguish as a person? Maybe let's talk about user first. As a user of LinkedIn, how should I actually curate the kind of content I create? Because everybody's already putting up a lot of different types of content, and then now I'm also putting on more content. Can almost feels like you're contributing more noise to the existing noise,
right?
Rather than creating signals or anything meaningful. So I don't know, what are your thoughts around that?
I think posting on LinkedIn, it depends on your intention, right? Are you posting from for example, are you posting from an expert point of view? Like, or are you posting from, I'm a job seeker, but I want to post so that I get attention from recruiters, right? Then they will come to my profile. Or are you an entrepreneur? Because LinkedIn now these days are full of entrepreneurs and content creators, right?
Yep.
They want to be on that platform as well because it's a place for them to build their personal brand. So I think it depends on your intention. That's number one. And when you know your intention, right, you will know what kind of post that you want to post. If it's related to your expertise, maybe you want to share how you have overcome this certain challenge at work and that has helped you learn X, Y, Z. I think that would be very valuable. And people are always curious about your own personal stories, right? If you put there 3 ways to get promoted, people may not be that interested. But if you say 3 ways to get promoted, like how I promoted myself in these 3 ways by doing X, Y, Z, for example. And then people will be more curious, right? So this is how you do it. And that's your unique point of view, which I cannot get from ChatGPT or I cannot get from Google.
Yep.
So I think coming back to your question, I think it's really going back to, what's your intention of posting on LinkedIn?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Could one person overdo it? Like I don't know, overshare or add too much soul, like
too noisy.
Yeah, where it's like, I think I agree with you. You have to kind of like not be shy to talk up your achievements, your expertise, your experience, because that's the platform where you want to showcase what you can bring, the value you can create. But then you also get like those profiles where it's like selfies
those random
here.
people selfie here.
Yeah, selfie there. I went on this random hike. I took my dog to the groomers. What a day at the beach with my daughter taught me about business. That kind of thing. Could you overdo it? That's my question. What do you think?
Yes. To me, I personally may not enjoy this kind of content more, but some people like it, right?
Yeah.
Some people like to know that you bring your dog for a walk over the weekend, or there's a new makan area. I think maybe perhaps they do it from a networking point of view. I think there's no, who am I to say, right? There's a right specific way to
there's
say.
There's no hard and fast rule about it.
Right. Yeah. You must, to be successful on LinkedIn, to build a personal brand on LinkedIn, you have to do things a certain way. You have to write a certain post. But if this is your style, then go with that style. But if your style is more like, I want to be a bit more professional. I think when you post on LinkedIn, one thing I learned over the last 2 years of posting on LinkedIn, it's not about you actually. It's really about how you can add value to another person.
Yeah.
And the only time you add in about you is like, this is how I do it. Maybe a short summary of like, this is my journey, but I've gone through this is how I can teach you. Then people will be more interested, I feel. Like it's about how do you want to help or add value to another person.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's been like criticisms, from users of LinkedIn on other users of LinkedIn that they will say things like, "Hey, this is not Instagram, this is not Facebook. Don't
post your proposal story here."
All this kind of stuff. But I like the perspective of creating value, because if I were to kind of like evaluate the type of profiles are there on LinkedIn, so obviously there are those that are maybe emerging profiles, like where either it's new or somebody has not really put a lot of attention on their account, so it's still kind of like small.
Yeah.
To those maybe more mature profiles, right, where you got already a lot of followers, maybe a few thousand even. I guess when you are at the mature profile level, there's already a certain level of interest in your life, lah. So you can put all the selfies, you put all the pictures, and people will be interested because, well, they follow you. They already followed you from before because you gave them value in a different way. But now I'm thinking, if you are an emerging...
If you're new to LinkedIn,
if
right?
If you're new to LinkedIn, if you're an emerging profile, you're trying to grow your followers, maybe putting that selfie of yours is not going to be adding a lot of value unless you've got a real insightful caption onto it. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking as you were sharing.
Right. But I also realize these days people would like to put a selfie and their key insights, right? And that's what the algorithm loves. Right?
So the adding the insightful caption, because I also discovered this, right, that there is a few people have mentioned this, that apparently if you put your face, your actual face, not your AI generated or enhanced photo onto any of your posting, it somehow boosts
Correct.
the likes or like, I don't know. So maybe people just really like to look at your face. I don't know. So
I know, right? Maybe like with your face on it, it's more interesting. Like, oh,
the
but
soul
a bit.
in it.
But to me, I find it a bit cringy. Like,
Yeah, it can be.
should I put every post my face and say, oh, 3 ways you need to do this. This is how you can say accept a offer letter or reject
Yeah.
offer letter. I'm like, I don't want
Yeah.
my face to be on it all
Yeah.
the time. But once in a while, I think you can insert that. Hi, I'm doing my work here. As a recruiter, this is what I do. I think that maybe helps people to relate to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, maybe he's just like a reminder that,
It's just-
hey, this is how I look like.
Yeah, this is how I look like.
I am not ChatGPT. I am
Yeah,
actually here.
I'm real.
I'm a real person and,
Yeah.
and all that. Do you think LinkedIn has changed? Oh, okay. Before I get that, when did you start using LinkedIn actively?
I started using LinkedIn actively, I think in April 2023.
April
Yeah.
2023.
April
Okay.
2023, because I wanted to build a brand on LinkedIn.
Ah,
I didn't.
But
yeah.
you didn't. When did you sign up for an account? Way before that.
Yeah, way before that. Because when I first started my job, I was also a recruiter. Then I went into something else. I
Yeah.
already had a LinkedIn account.
Uh-huh.
At that time, LinkedIn is very basic. You have
Yeah.
your typical job seekers putting their basic profile out
Mm.
there, and nobody really write any posts, right? People just share insights, articles for another from Google, and then they put it on LinkedIn. That was
Mm.
how basic it was. And obviously it has emerged lah. So in 2023, I decided I want to build a personal brand on LinkedIn.
Mm.
I want to make sure that, my advice, my story, my brand is out there beyond just, talking to candidate or coaching candidate.
Mm.
That was how I started in 2023.
How did you grow your brand? What were the
What
things,
did I do,
things
ah?
that you do that you did?
When I first started, before I started, right, I actually read a lot on how do I create content on LinkedIn. I actually even paid for a course from this creator online. I paid for it and I decided I'm gonna do it, right? So I told my friend then, my co-podcast host, Shuka, and said, hey, let's do this together. Because when you're doing it together, it's less scary. Let's do
Yeah.
this together and let's do this consistently, because according to all the gurus on LinkedIn, consistent is key. So we did it for 30 days and then we extended it to 90 days. The first 30 days, it was very basic. I was like, I will start with what I know first. And all I know was every day I give insights to my clients, I give advice to my candidates. I'll start with everything related to career or job seeking or any career advice. That was how I started. And consistency works lah. So I think within that 30 days, I got a lot of attention. And I was like, wow, this has gone beyond just, talking to a candidate over the phone and give the candidate advice. And after that, I don't even know if the candidate will appreciate what I say. But when I put myself out there, at least I get those people who will text me and like, hey, I really appreciate the insights that you give. Oh, that was a very good tip. That made me feel good. And I decided to continue to the next 90 days. I was very consistent. I posted every day, Monday to Sundays, right? I posted every day.
Even on the weekends?
Yes.
Wow, for 30
I have to
days.
sit down there and think, on weekends, maybe I should put less serious content, right?
Yeah.
So I started, and I think that has gotten me, and then companies like all these tech career companies, they will like come to you and like, hey, I see that you are doing all this posting out there. Can you help us to write a post? I was like, oh, suddenly I become content creator. And that was an interesting insight to me. Like, I never knew, LinkedIn has this thing where, you write an article or campaign and people pay you for it. I was like, oh, people pay me for my advice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 2023.
Yep. 2 questions on that. Did you see I guess how you evaluate a profile is or your progress is maybe the number of likes or maybe the number of followers. So the first question is how much did how many did your followers grow by? And secondly, was there a ROI on that? Like, so you got some, or tell us a bit about the ROI.
The ROI.
Because like, for example, you got approached to write articles and be paid for it. Were there any other like business or professional opportunities that came along the way as a result of your account actually gaining more influence?
Right. Your first question. I think when I first started, my followers were about 6,000. And by the end of 2023, I think it has grew up to about 10,000 followers.
Wow.
So it was massive, right? It was crazy. I was like, wow. Every day I log in, right? I see the increase in followers, like 100 plus. And that was crazy. And I was like, oh, actually people like what I say online and people do follow. That was the increase in followers. But the ROI, the impact, right? It's like people always say you have high followers, then what would be the ROI? I think the ROI would be when I approach candidate on LinkedIn, they are more likely to accept my connection, because when recruiters approach candidate on LinkedIn, sometimes they may take certain time to reply, and time is important, from recruiters' point of view. That's number one. Number two, I think last year when I posted a content about from a company's hiring point of view, right, and I got an inbound leads. And that was my first time getting inbound leads. I connected with a CFO, and the CFO just said, hey, do you do hiring needs for a finance role, for example? And then I said, yeah, let's have a talk. And that was how I got I didn't have to go out there and try too hard to get clients as well. People come to me. And then the third ROI would be, beyond this, the pay one, the third ROI would be, recruiters will come to you and like, hey, are you looking for a job? Right? Recruiters to recruiters. Yep. It's like, hey, are you interested to explore this role? I think when you put yourself out there, you're opening up yourself to doors of opportunities, right? People will come to you. I didn't know, when I put myself out there. I expected recruiters will come to me and, I have a job for you. Do you want to explore this job? But I did not expect, clients to come to me and say, hey, I need hiring help. Like, I want to talk about, hiring needs. Or this company come to, hey, can you help me write article? And it's a paid post campaign. I was like,
Yep. So what you're saying is like two things. One is credibility. Definitely with your profile has a bit more follower count. It does give it a perspective that this account is not a scam account.
Yeah, it's not a scam account, and this girl is quite legit lah. Right? It's like you're not just a recruiter, right?
Yep. And the other area is coverage, where we talk about casting your net wide.
Yeah.
So that if you cast your net wider into a wider surface area or the wider area of coverage, then the chances of you picking something up is higher.
Correct. And I guess that I make my profile more alive, because previously it was just my face, my job title, a little bit about me, and now it has a little bit story. Yeah.
I've actually seen people post this. I don't know whether it's true or wanted to get you to comment on it. I saw someone post, so they are like a personal brand advocate, and they said this on their post that I have never had to do a cold call outreach, and essentially what the person was saying, that it is possible to build a personal brand so strong
that people come to you.
Yeah,
right?
that the opportunities just come flooding to you. I don't know. This sounds like some feng shui or like
I believe in that. I believe it's attraction,
law of attraction.
Law of attraction.
I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? Can personal branding really be so powerful that it really relieves you of the need to go and do cold calling or be intentional, blah, 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 blah? Okay,
I can't say 100% for sure, but I would say that it helps you in your journey of getting new clients. And I do believe that there is an impact in building that personal brand, and people will come to you because it's like your online store. You open your store out there and you tell people who you are and tell people who you have been helping. And ultimately, people will pass by your store one day, will like, I remember this guy. He always talk about this X problem. And now I want to get his opinion. I want to get his idea. But because you're already putting yourself out there, people already get to know you lah. Like, you don't have to hey, my name is Wendy. I'm a recruiter. I know you. I know you're a recruiter. I've been following you. I may not want to engage your service for now, but I guess, in order to get the inbound leads and all that, a lot more other strategies that you have to put inside, what kind of content to post and all that. But I believe you will attract your target audience when you put all these insights and sharing out there.
Going back to what we talked about before, going to that whole growing your account, developing emerging account versus a mature account. How can somebody who is new to LinkedIn, and maybe I would assume that, okay, because when you talk about new to LinkedIn, there'll be also two types of people who are new to be LinkedIn. It could be a very seasoned professional already. They never had a LinkedIn account.
Yep.
So in that sense, it's straightforward. I can start a LinkedIn account. I can immediately populate my profile with my history, and that will already give me the level of credibility,
the authority,
that I would need to start posting and talking about whatever area of business or industry or expertise I have.
Yep.
But what about those who are like
fresh
grads,
fresh
grads, or maybe 2 or 3 years experience of work only, and they want to build their LinkedIn profile. And you mentioned to build a LinkedIn profile is to create value. What are some advice or what will you do in their shoes?
Right. If I were to put myself back as a fresh graduate, I think in uni you learn different. Depending on your major, it could be finance. Like for me, I major in psychology. If I were to go back to 10, 13 years ago when I first graduated, right, and if LinkedIn were blooming at that time, I think I would talk a little bit about psychology and mental health because that's the topic that I'm familiar with. I studied that. I think I will also talk a little bit about, maybe your achievements from your projects, from your assignment. I think everybody has a story to tell, and you just tell from your experience and hopefully from that, when you share that something, you hope that you think of somebody you want to help, or think of a friend who will come to you like, hey, I don't understand this part. Like, how do you do this? How do I achieve A in my assignment or in my thesis, right? And you can write from that point of view, and that will give you the credibility because, hey, you studied that subject, you know that well. From fresh graduate point of view, I think fresh graduates should really put themselves out there because, hey, I think I read somewhere by 2024, I think last year, LinkedIn has reached 1 billion users, right? 1 billion. 1 B.
Billion.
Yeah,
Wow.
1 B users. Okay. So a lot of people are out there. You never know what kind of opportunity you attract. And it's global. You're not just put yourself within just Malaysia, right? Yeah, it's global. That's fresh grad point of view. I think put your story out there, share what you learn, your insights. That's how you build. For a more experienced professional, I think you mentioned just now earlier, they already have certain years of experience. You already have that authority. Just that you may use that authority in your workplace or in your influence, but change that into online.
Yeah, you already have stories to
you
tell.
already have
Just
that story,
them.
right? You already have your influence offline,
Yep.
with your team members, with your stakeholders, with your board of directors. Then put it online and get people, you never know, you get another job opportunity. So another company come and put you for a better job, a C-level job, for example. Yeah.
Yep. My next question would be, right, is there still room for people? What I mean by that is, so let's take the example of sharing on psychology, right? Is there room for more psychology sharers? Because there could be already
like 10,000 people
10,000 people sharing on psychology. Now you got another person coming to share more psychology. Is there room? Because we're talking about noise and how crowded.
How do you stand out in that crowded
is there still space? Do you think there is still space for people to write about this? In a sea of storytellers, is there room for another storyteller? So what do you think?
Obviously there is because there's only one you, right? You share from your unique point of view, and then you will stand out. And people always want more stories. Like you tell story from your psychology course, for example, will be very different from person B or C that tells another story. I think there is still a way to stand out, but it's getting harder to stand out these days. So you have to work harder and try experiment with different ways. And I think on LinkedIn these days, people like to do videos. I'm not quite sure about you, but I haven't gone there yet.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about video because is that something that you have you ever thought of, doing video? Because we talk about experimenting on LinkedIn, right? And doing video on LinkedIn these days they boost out all the videos and all, and it's part of the experiment as well. Would you start eventually?
That's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. Because I wanted to try and distinguish the noise from the noise. Just now you talk about now to stand out, you need to work harder. I think working harder is not it's not necessarily doing more, but sometimes it's also doing a little bit different. So what I've realized is that it's so easy now to put out a lot of text, even carousels. It's easy to do it because you got Canva, and
Yes.
Canva is very, very cheap. Relatively, it's cheap because the barrier to entry is quite low, and even you can have a free account anyway to create carousel. So I thought of going into video to kind of like to distinguish myself, differentiate a little bit. But what I realized also with video is that you have to optimize a little bit for LinkedIn. What I mean by that is if you post a link on LinkedIn leading to a video somewhere else, it doesn't do so well. But if you upload a video directly onto LinkedIn
from the app.
from the app or using your browser, whatever, but you're uploading directly. It's not a link to a third party
Like you can't
application.
get from YouTube link and then upload it.
Yeah, it won't do so well. So it's all again about the algorithm and everything like that lah. So, but I like what you're saying. You're talking about how do you telling your personal story to differentiate yourself, and it's really just putting yourself out there to a sea of opportunities. And you mentioned this point. You said that every fresh grad should use LinkedIn.
Should.
What is the implication if people don't use LinkedIn? What are the implications if you don't use LinkedIn? What if they go, but LinkedIn is not me, it's too cringy, or I don't know, like what? Yeah, what do you think?
Then you may lose out on a lot of job opportunities out there. I mean, in the very beginning, you may not feel it. It's like, doesn't matter, as long as I go Hiredly, I apply through job portals and I get a job and I'll start working, right? But what if you have another peer who is doing the same thing like you, but at the same time decided to invest his time building his personal brand on LinkedIn? Eventually, this person will get more attention and opportunities because recruiters are roaming around on LinkedIn every day,
Is it like almost like the default platform that recruiters start on now, LinkedIn, before going to other profiles? If you're talking about headhunting, is LinkedIn kind of like one of the default areas to go to now?
Yes.
Wow.
It's
Are there any other alternatives?
I think the rest would be referrals or whatever that you have in your database. But LinkedIn is where all these professionals are at, right? And when you want to approach them, you also want to approach from a very professional point of view. You don't want to maybe randomly found them on Facebook and like, hey, do you want a job? That would be a bit weird, right? So I think that's, by default.
Yeah, so
professionals
it's
will
like,
be there.
if you don't use LinkedIn, you are actually really causing yourself to potentially miss out on a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
You know what? As we were talking, I remembered what I wanted to ask now. Okay. I wanted to ask this: how clear must you be on your personal brand, and how aligned must your content be according to that? What I mean by that is this: you see, because if I'm a newbie, like I am posting, going back to the example on my psychology student experience. So if I keep posting learnings about psychology and in my uni life, I am kind of like branding myself now as a
psychology
as a student. Okay, I'm a student. I'm a psychology student. So yes, maybe it will attract like people who are looking to employ psychology students. But maybe let's turn that to another context. If let's say I am new to the working world, I have 2 or 3 years of working experience. So to kind of like gain traction on LinkedIn, I don't want to make myself sound too haughty. So I don't post any subject matter expertise kind of stuff. I don't position myself that way. I share my stories. So I share, this is what I struggle at work, this is what I do, this is what I do. But then I'm now creating a brand where I'm like this maybe person who is like
complain about
work, or always saying like the boss is this, or just talking about mental health, but it's not necessarily aligned to like to where I ought to go. So do you kind of understand where I'm going with this?
Right, how what is the boundary do I set?
Like how much should I be so clear? Like, okay, if I want to be a subject matter expert in like leadership, all I should post is all about leadership, even if it's nothing to do with leadership. Like I went to I went to look for a pair of pants today. This is what I taught me about leadership. To that kind of level,
Right.
or mix up a bit of authenticity. I don't know. What do you think?
I think after all, behind your LinkedIn page is a human, right? A human will not be just like a robot that talks about only, for example, leadership or psychology. I think coming back to your intention, like when you want to build your brand out there, first of all, what do you want people to know you of? Like do you want to be a thought leader in? It's always good to start with something right? You want to be good in this area, or you want people to think of you, you're an expert in this X area, maybe I don't know, marketing, right? Then you begin talking about marketing. But along the way, I guess you can always 80% of your content, maybe you should talk about marketing because that's maybe what you want to be known as. And 20% you can always talk about your interests, what is something that you are actually struggling with, or something that you are actually trying to achieve. Like, for example, you could be talking about digital marketing, but then you have the interest in, I don't know, building a personal brand on LinkedIn. And you can say, here's what I learned, trying to build my personal brand on LinkedIn, 3 things. And people like that, right? Your journey. Like, I think you don't have to always, I feel like you don't always have to put yourself out there as an expert. Like, you can also put yourself out there as like, this is my journey of, I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there are doing it. I think the other day I was just browsing through LinkedIn, I saw this one of the local brand owners in Malaysia, and he was talking about he hired somebody who's like retired, to join his team, and it ended up being the best thing, that they did in the recruitment. And I was like, oh, that's interesting story. You don't have to talk about your business all the time. You talk about a little bit about, hiring somebody who is way above your, retirement age. Yeah. So I think that's a mixture of everything. So first of all, I think knowing your intention is very important. Like, what do you want to talk about first? I feel like as a beginner, you always want to talk about what you're comfortable with first.
That's good.
Then you talk about maybe your journey. When you're happy or comfortable put yourself out there, I think then you can share a little bit about, this is my journey of, growing my brand on LinkedIn. And this is what I learned in the last few days. I actually posted this and I realized blah, blah, blah. And people I would be attracted to that kind of story. I'm like, oh, that's a progress, right? That will probably also inspire another person to like, oh, I can do that as well. I mean, if you do that, I can try.
Yeah. That has to involve a very big element of courage, doesn't it? Because I think as you are writing content, we are very accustomed, even though it could be subconscious, to expect immediate results.
Yeah.
So we could be writing something and then nobody is like liking it or giving it any response. Or it's not getting the eyeballs that we want. But then if you look, maybe we only have like 17 followers. So that's why you got to also be a bit bold and be a bit thick-faced to start adding people on LinkedIn. Because that's how you grow your account. By building connections. But at least there's an element of putting yourself out there, which is incredibly terrifying sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I was also terrified. I mean, at that time, even when I had quite a number of followers, I was also terrified, right? I would be thinking, how would people judge me if whatever that I said, right, may not right, or they may not resonate with it. And talking about, the number of likes, when you first started, right, you want to make sure that at least got 3 likes, right? Or at least there is a like.
So you ask your mom, your dad, but please create a LinkedIn profile and like the post.
Yes. And you know what I did? When I first started, I shared with all my colleagues at work, right? I'm like, guys, I just posted a post on LinkedIn, please like. And I remember one time I saw one of my colleagues. I mean, I'm very close with her. I'll go to her and like, did you see my post today? Have you liked it? No, like now. I think sometimes you just need that support, and it's okay to get the people around you to support you, in that journey. And maybe that will give you a little bit of courage or push, like, okay, I can do it. It's not too bad. Today I got 10 likes maybe. Then I think beyond the likes, you can always start with like, hey, if there's, for today's content, who am I speaking to? Am I speaking to my older self? Am I giving advice to a friend who needs it? And if that content is good and valuable enough, people will come and
Mm.
people would react or engage.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, I want to take a moment from our conversation to tell you that this episode is actually sponsored by our partners Ilio, a 100% natural hair, body and skincare product. Now, if you struggle with dry and sensitive skin, this product is a great alternative to steroids. Right here, I've got the Aleppo soap, something that I've tried before. It's only made out of 4 ingredients, whereas a regular soap is made out of like 10 to 15 or something like that. And then on my right, I have this argan oil. So what you do is you use the soap that can be applied as a shampoo or even a face mask or even on your hair. And after you do that for cleansing, you apply this oil here to moisturize and rejuvenate. Now, these products can be found at over 200 Watson stores, or you can go onto their online store, Ilio online store. And if you were to buy from them directly at their online store, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't see any results within 1 month of your purchase, you can get a full refund. Now, back to the episode.
What I really like what you talked about, where you talk about getting the community. It's so practical and helpful and it's just so practical because I'm imagining now, if you are new to the working world, find your ex-uni mates or your colleagues and just kind of like
Your
you just
best friend.
you just need 3 or 4 people and go, hey guys, like what you did with your colleague Shukan, right? You just say, hey, Kate, we're gonna come. Let's get together. Let's
get an accountability partner, right? Let's do it together.
Accountability partner. Let's just start posting. And let's support one another. Let's like each other's posts. Even though you may not like it, but please like it. But that's practical.
Actually that was
That's getting
what I did with Shukan, and we will tell each other, I'm gonna post at this hour tomorrow, and please expect a post, and then we will tell each other, we will definitely engage and we definitely comment. Because when you comment, you actually get your connections to also come to that page or to that post. I think that really very helpful. Like, find your community. Just one person is also good enough, right? Somebody to do it together with you, and that will encourage you to keep going. It's like, oh, tomorrow I need to do it again because Shukan is gonna post. I'm gonna post as well.
You've been using LinkedIn actively for I won't say a long time, but definitely longer than most of us intentionally. Have you seen LinkedIn change or evolve? How have you seen it change or evolve in the past like 2 or 3 years? Because I started using LinkedIn in 2022 actively. I've definitely seen some changes. I'm curious to know, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely has changed. I think when I first started, LinkedIn was very the typical copywriting, 3 ways to do this, 5 ways to do this. And I also started doing it that way. I think maybe since last year, when there are more and more people on that platform and they started to share more of their personal insights and personal stories, I think that's where then the algorithm loves it, right? It's like, oh, I like this kind of stuff, I'll push more to people. And people also like that kind of stuff, right? And I think the change has also got to do with maybe AI, because with AI these days, you can easily create a content that is like 3 ways, 5 ways, 2 ways to do this. But we need a human touch.
By soulless, like
soulless, soulless. Like, I can Google it. Like, I don't need you, right? If I want this kind of content, I can always ask my ChatGPT, teach me how do I maybe arrange my calendar, and ChatGPT will come out with ways to do it. And for example, if let's say you are somebody who is very busy and you found a way to manage your calendar, right? Your CEO, and you post out there and you tell people how you do it using ChatGPT, then maybe you'll be like, oh, that's how you can use ChatGPT to do things. So I see the shift of content from just your generic, coming from an expert point of view, to more personalized. I feel more storytelling, personalized, personal journey. That would be the shift of content that I see on LinkedIn that people would like more.
Coming back to LinkedIn profiles, right? So we've kind of established that, number one, hey, LinkedIn is so important as a professional or even an entrepreneur. Secondly, put some soul into it, put some personality and some of your own stories into that. But I want to talk about all the other fields in LinkedIn. Is there kind of like any advice or guideline you would tell people that, let's put aside all the basics lah. Like for example, have a photo. I think that's
The photo, at least a decent one, right?
have a decent photo. Okay?
Decent
not just
photo.
have a photo.
Yeah.
Because you could put a photo of like a photo of like a bird or something. I don't know. Right? This one-
or photo of you eating. I'm like,
That's a decent photo.
yeah, a decent photo.
Yeah. What about those headlines? The about me, like
Right.
and even putting your experiences. Do you have any advice on how people can strategically and effectively fill up those areas?
Okay, let's go with the flow lah. Right? Below your name, there is I think it's called headline or header. Headline. The headline is very important because that is basically what you're telling. Because people will always see your name and what you do. So I think if let's say you are new or you have been on LinkedIn for a while, you're changing job, you need to put your headline properly. Like for example, I put my headline recruiter.
Yep.
And for example, it could be HR talent development because that headline is very clear. People need to find you. So that headline, then coming down, I think that's where the about me. Now, I think this about me, maybe talk about it from a professional point of view, job seeker's point of view. As a recruiter, when I go through somebody's LinkedIn profile, the about me, I will read it as well. Think of it as your summary of your CV, right? You write about your experience, like for example, 10 years of experience in Y industry doing X skill in blah, 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 help company to achieve blah, blah, blah. Below that, I think the about me, you don't have to be dead lah because it's not your CV, right? It's more than just your CV. You put your summary, but also include a little bit of your personality in there. It could be, I enjoy doing something, or while doing this as a full-time job, I actually also am hosting a podcast, for example. I think that would be very interesting, right? Oh, okay, this person fits my requirement. Then I think from the headline, you go to about me, and then that's where the job experience, right?
Yeah.
I want to touch a little bit more in terms of being more strategic in putting in the right keywords because that's how recruiters will also search, right? Through keywords. If let's say you have 8 years of experience and right now you may or may not be actively looking for a job, but actively updating it will help recruiters or job opportunities to come to you lah. I think don't put a lot of things that you do daily. The responsibilities, maybe 3-4 bullet points is enough. Put your experience as well, or your achievements, right? And that will highlight your profile. And when recruiters see that, they will definitely DM you. Hey, are you looking for a chat? And say yes to recruiter lah. Talk to them. You never know what you may not like this job opportunity for now, but as you speak to a recruiter and they understand more about you, they may come back to you the next round for a different opportunity or for an opportunity that would fits what you want better.
Yeah. I find this is my personal practice, like the about me section. I tend to do like my whole profile actually. I tend to do like a self audit every 3, 6, 9, and 12 months where I would see, does this represent me? Or is this how I want to represent myself to the world? Because the world is changing, but along with the world, I'm also changing. We are developing as professionals. We have new direction in our career sometimes, or we pick up new skills, new expertise, or we get new interests, new knowledge. So we're always growing.
Yeah.
And if we are a dynamic person, like a soul, where we are growing and learning every day, our profile should reflect that. I think we should put a bit of effort into updating it. And I think going back to all the earlier things that we said, there's no hard and fast rule. There are certain principles you could follow that may optimize, but you don't want to treat it as like a rule book and follow it religiously and I will only do it this way. Experiment, change. And that's what I did. When I first started, because my background is non-commercial, when I came into the commercial world, I just did a data
Revamp.
dump. On my LinkedIn, I just dumped everything that I did. But as I started to realize, hey, maybe HR, organizational development work is more related or is matching. Those are the transferable skills that I have. Then I start tweaking the keywords in my experience to kind of reflect that. And it has paid off. Like I have had recruiters contacted me. My current job now was through a recruiter. A recruiter reached out to me and then connected me with this opportunity. So picking out one of the things you said earlier as well, some of these ROIs or dividends for posting on LinkedIn, you don't see it immediately. You may not always see immediately, and you may not see it as frequently. But it's like you want to build a net so strong and so wide that when something actually comes, you have the ability to catch it and not let it fall through the cracks.
Wow, that's a good point. I think I like the part where you say when you first started, you dump everything there. Then after that, you start tweaking it. I think everybody should learn how to do it. Like, don't put everything about yourself out there. Put what you want to highlight. Maybe there are certain strengths or certain experience that you want to highlight. Just put there. And maybe after a few months, if you think that, this doesn't represent me anymore, you can still change it. I think another thing I want to add on is that think of your LinkedIn page, right? Like your online platform. So like, you have your Shopee, Lazada online platform, right? Think of it as an online platform. You are selling every day. People may come and go pass you by, but eventually you will never know what opportunities will come knocking at your door. And that's one think of your LinkedIn as your online presence. That's one thing I want to highlight. Because we talk about how to write, what kind of content, how to build authority on LinkedIn. There's one very underrated skills that I think everybody should learn.
Please tell me, what is it?
Master your writing. Learning how to write is so important. It's like you learn how to communicate through writing as well. Putting all your thoughts out there is a form of communication. So if you think that you're not so good in writing, learn that skill, master that skill, right? Because that will help you in creating content. And don't talk about video first. Maybe talk about writing first. When you can write, I think you will have a very clear process. Then you can talk. I think that's the very underrated skill that nobody talk about.
Yeah. I think people actually recognize that writing is important, but what they have unfortunately done is rely on AI. So they would go to ChatGPT or whatever they're using. DeepSeek is kind of popular now. But they would post very generic, robotic language type of stuff online.
Flowery, that doesn't sound like you.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but actually this actually damages your brand in a way. Because it makes you, it can AI is already divisive. People have many opinions and ideas about AI, right? So now to actually use AI and seemingly appear lazy to, it's not good. So through your experience, how will you advise somebody how to learn to write better? Now, before I get hear from you, I would personally say it's not wrong to use ChatGPT to start, but don't use it as the end to end. So that's one thing I would say. But for you, you've gone through that journey of learning to write, developing a huge following through your writing. What are some of your top 2 or 3 lessons that you would like to share with people?
To me, you can definitely use ChatGPT to give you the ideas, to give you that content to write, but you write like how you speak. If let's say you read your ChatGPT, right, it's like, am I speaking it this way? Like, am I talking like that? If not, then don't write like how you speak, right? They say write like how you speak. Then people will be able to relate. I think that's number one. I think writing is like your muscle, Like the more you write, the better you get. And when I first started, right, I remember sitting down there, 1 hour, 2 hours, just to keep writing, deleting, to be able to come up with like a post that I think, is decent enough. This is how I would talk, and this is how I think I sound like me a bit, right? 2 ways. Write like how you speak and keep writing, because that's where then you improve your writing style or writing skills. Yeah,
and that goes back to what we talked about earlier also on how you have to really put yourself out there, right? Because in an ideal world, it would be great to be able to practice in secret. You got all this writing. You're practicing. Okay, once I perfected my writing, then only I start publishing my posts. But in reality, how we improve is actually by putting ourselves out there, seeing the kind of response that we get.
Yeah, yes.
Seeing something that doesn't get the response we thought we would get, and seeing those that we didn't expect to get that kind of result, but then it yields fantastic results in spite of our assumption.
Sometimes
Then
the one that you
learn.
put less effort, right, it give you more engagement
Correct,
than the
correct.
one that I put a lot of thought and effort into it, right? But it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. It reminds me of this saying that stuck with me, and I used to use that a lot of times when I communicate with people. It goes something along like this. In school, you are taught a lesson and then given a test. But in life, you're given a test which teaches you a lesson. So what that means is that a lot of things in life, it's the opposite of school. In life, learning is on the fly. It's in the
doing,
trial
right?
and error. It's in the failure.
Yeah.
Because in school, if you go for an exam, if you fail, it means, well, you didn't prepare enough, you failed.
Yeah.
Right? And there's value in that. You should prepare for big moments like interviews, for big presentations. But in life, a lot of the learning comes through failure.
Yeah.
That's where
the
you
lessons
pick it
that
up,
you
tweak, you iterate, you change your approach. And I think maybe we as human beings, as professionals, we can also be a lot more forgiving on people, on profiles who are emerging, trying.
Yes.
I'm speaking to myself because I can be quite judgmental sometimes. I'll be like, why is this guy posting about his hiking trip again? Blah, why am I seeing this
it's got
again?
nothing to do with what he does.
Yeah, well, nothing better to do, bro. So, but now as we talk, as we reflect, I realize like, hey, maybe this guy is really I should commend him for his effort, for trying to build his profile, for trying to become relevant, and for connecting. So I've got a real perspective shift just in talking about
like
about
sometimes
this.
I'm also reminded, right, if I see a post that don't have a lot of likes and this person just started the journey, right, I'm like, I will give a like and I'll comment, right, to give an insight, because I think one thing about LinkedIn is that it's not just if you're not comfortable posting, all the time, what you can start doing is start by commenting, because that will reach out to a lot more people as well. But don't comment like, thanks for the tips, good insights, great posts. But comments with your added point of view, your opinion. I think comments will be, if let's say you are not comfortable at all putting yourself out there, start with comments. I think that there's value in putting comments out there as well, and people appreciate good comments.
So we talk about a lot of do's, what we should do on LinkedIn. Are there any like don'ts, like hard draw the boundary, don't do this, don't ever do this on LinkedIn? Maybe, I don't know, if you can 2 to 3 or maybe up to 5 if you can think of any. Having used LinkedIn for a while and being a recruiter, what do you think?
Wow, something triggered me now. Number 1, don't copy people's posts.
I remember that.
Angry,
I remember that.
I remember, I think at one point when I was very picky with my content, and two people, like, they just copy paste what I wrote as their own post.
They're just optimizing the algorithm.
No credit.
So
I was like,
annoying.
how could you do that? You went through university, right? Plagiarism. So like, even if you want to copy exactly, right, can you please give me credit at the end of the thing? And I had to confront them. I said, can you please, you either take down your post or you credit me.
I don't remember how the story ends. How did they respond?
No remorse, I remember. I remember one girl was fresh graduate and think she was in HR. It was bad. Bad.
Not all people HR are bad.
Bad. HR shouldn't do this. I remember she copied my post and I DM her. I was like, hey, I realized you just copied exactly what I wrote. Can you please either delete your post or give me credit? And all she did was okay. And then she added, then she put my name at the end of the post. I was like, wow, no remorse. Second person, I think this person quite out there. I didn't want to say who. I was like, oh my gosh, how could this person copy what I wrote exactly, and you are in this space as well, right? You're also writing content. I sent him a DM. He's like, oh, okay. I will delete. And he deleted the post. That's one. Don't copy What else?
Did they copy like lock, stock, barrel? Like they
Like-
took every single word,
Every
and
single word,
the
'cause-
format, the way. So they didn't even bother tweaking it.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because I wrote every post that I write, I will make sure I speak from my heart, right? So when I look at that post, I'm like, definitely what I wrote and I'll compare. Oh my gosh, you didn't even change lah. Maybe you want to copy my hook, my first line, right? You change the next few lines lah. You don't have to
rearrange it, change the terms.
change, right? Because the words that I use are like simple English, right? Everybody can write the same thing. Like you don't have to just copy and paste and post. That's one. Two, don't talk about yourself all the time. I feel like don't talk about yourself. Don't shout out about your achievements all the time because people don't really care. Only you care about achievements, or maybe your boss or your future employee, they want to know how much value you can bring. Don't talk about yourself all the time. I think on LinkedIn is always about how your value, your lessons, your experience, your industry knowledge can help the other person who are maybe in that same industry or wants to, or maybe another person who want to be in the same industry as you. So write something that is, don't put yourself, don't make it all yourself about yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Like, write it for another person, right? Like share your sharing thoughts.
Yeah. Like don't just share your achievements for the sake of sharing your achievements.
Yeah, yes.
Turn it into something that can be valuable and insightful for people.
Yeah, correct. Like don't make it all about yourself. It's like, hey, I'm damn good, I'm very good out there. I'm like industry thought leader here. Don't make it about yourself. Third one, I've learned somewhere, like being on social media, they talk about being authentic, right?
Yeah.
And being authentic sometimes it's not about sharing everything about. You don't have to pour out everything about yourself out there. People might not be able to accept that, right? It's like being authentic, perhaps, what's the better way to put it? Like you can be authentic, but you don't have to.
It doesn't mean 100% transparency.
Yeah.
There has to be some level of filtering.
Certain details, maybe people may not like. I don't know. People talk about authenticity. Maybe you want to talk about leadership, and you want to talk about, I don't know. You had a bad experience with a boss, but you don't have to share about how you really dislike the boss. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe there's a way to reframe it to be a bit more professional. I'm not quite sure this is a good point, but I remember I read it somewhere like being authentic doesn't mean putting everything out there and I mean you can still show your true self, but show what is helpful, share what only is helpful
It's almost like just applying a bit of common sense to it, but also this could be a bit harsh. That sounds a bit harsh, but it's understanding that whatever you put online requires context for people to understand.
Yeah.
And sometimes that context without it being there or with the different kind of context being there, what you post can be actually completely interpreted differently. Secondly, also is whatever you put up there, whatever goes online could potentially most of the time stay online forever. So when I talk about, I get what you're saying because I talk about like, if you use a boss, for example, if you're still working for the current boss, please, for all things good, pure and holy, don't post it up, right?
Yes.
Because I have seen, I have had colleagues where they post a lot of things about bad leadership. Even though he didn't strictly reference the person, but everybody knows where you're working now. And if you're posting so much about bad leadership,
everybody knows.
Eventually, people are going to go, well, are you talking about someone? And even if you're not, that kind of impression, if it goes back to the said person being talked about or supposedly talked about, they're not going to like it, and it's not going to help you in any way. Versus if, let's say, you moved on from that company, there it is, like 5-6 years down the road already. You've changed jobs, you changed geography, you changed whatever, and you bring it up, then it's harder to kind of like piece it together.
Correct. It can be a lesson, right?
And
From 5 years ago.
Yeah, and easier for you to deflect also. That, no, I'm not. I'm just talking about somebody from my past.
Yeah.
But I think that's very, very important.
That's
the context and how much you actually share. And how you say it also. I think the tone matters.
Yeah, that's what
I'm a big believer in tone. And it's good to mix your tone up occasionally. Sometimes you can come up with a more negative tone, like a more angry, aggressive kind of tone to drive home certain points. But you don't want to keep using that kind of language.
You don't want to sound negative all the time.
Yeah.
Don't be negative.
Yeah.
I think I feel like do not be afraid to experiment on LinkedIn. That's like, it's always changing. It's a social
Just don't
media.
copy somebody's post while you're doing it.
Just don't copy.
At least bother to like change it up or tweak it.
Tweak or credit if you want to.
Yeah.
I think don't be afraid to experiment. There's no bad. I mean, even if it's bad post, right, and nobody likes it and you think it's that bad, just delete it. Nobody knows.
Nobody will remember. Yeah.
Nobody will remember anyway. And do not be afraid to put yourself out there.
Great.
That's it.
What are you up to nowadays? How can people reach you, or what would you like our audience to know about you?
Right. I think these days I'm trying to approach LinkedIn a different way. I think 2 years ago I was excited about the engagement rate, the number of followers. I was like, wow, amazing. The higher the number of followers, the better. But I think this year what I'm trying to change that. I want to build community. I may not have like figured it out all yet, but I think I want to build a community where, I can share my insights and stories, and that will give an impact or inspire people to either, find a better job or build a better career or something that they like, or, have that courage to just go out there and put yourself out on LinkedIn.
Do you have any clarity on how that community looks like? Is it open for people to join or express interest, anything like that?
Right. I think it's still open at the moment. Like I'm experimenting LinkedIn this year again. But building community is something that I had in mind. Maybe instead of building followers, instead of looking at the followers, I want to build community, because community are people who know your stories and they want to follow and engage and be part of your journey. And I think I want to build that kind of community, but I'm still not very clear yet. I'm still discovering, I'm still experimenting. And people can reach out to me via LinkedIn. That's the only platform that I'm on right now. I think last year I started my Substack because LinkedIn is a rented platform, right? You want to pull people out somewhere, but I stopped for a while. Maybe I should get back to it. That's part of community building.
Great.
That's it.
Yeah, Wendy, it was such a pleasure and joy to have you on today's show. Any final thoughts or final encouragements that you want to leave with our audience before we go?
Just start it. Just do it. Just do it.
On LinkedIn.
Just do it on LinkedIn.
Just start and
just
go.
Experiment. Just put yourself out there, and you never know what opportunity will land on you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to this episode of THX. If you found this helpful, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and share it with anybody that you feel will benefit from this. So this is me, John from THX. See you in the next episode. Thank you.